I am Kevin Iole, and on Saturday night at T-Mobile Arena, UFC 269 went on unbelievable card, top to bottom, a lot of great fights. And there was a sports bettor who wagered over $300,000 to win $30,000 on Amanda Nunes. And that bettor, I think my next guest, ruined his night, maybe his year, I don't know. Julianna Peña, the new UFC women's bantamweight champion. Julianna, you must feel great not only to be the champion, but no, you really made that guy have a bad night.
Yeah, no, I am very happy, and I'm sorry that man lost so much money. He should have bet on me. He should have took that 20 grand and made 2 million, because I heard somebody else made that amount.
Whoa, I hadn't heard that one. Well, that's awesome. No, I think you closed at plus 625, which was amazing. And in a title fight, you don't usually have those kind of wide odds. Why do you think it was that the public just didn't give you so much of a chance? I mean, it seemed like, everywhere you turned, everybody was Amanda, and nobody really took you seriously in this one.
I think probably the biggest thing is probably that I haven't had these types of fights where, I hit one punch and knock somebody out unconscious, so I think that my fights have kind of been, grinding type of uglier fights that sometimes go the distance, sometimes end my way. Either way, it's either kill or be killed, and you either know that I'm going to kill or be killed in there. And so I definitely think that they probably just haven't seen like a ton of highlights of me just one KO punching people, and that's probably why they weren't really on my side at all.
The thing that got me was that you hadn't won 2 in a row in like over 4 years. And so I looked at it and I said, here's Amanda fighting all these great fighters, and Julianna hasn't won 2 in a row in 4 years. Obviously, you being pregnant and giving birth had an issue, but was there any other thing that kept you out of the cage for a considerable amount of time that, maybe we overlooked?
Yeah, that time away was not only the pregnancy, but also the injuries that I have suffered. I've literally gone through the wash and injuries, and I've done it all. And so I definitely think that time is equated to 100% injuries and 100%, giving birth.
What's interesting, UFC champions, I mean, I think that's where the money is in MMA, right? When you become a champion, and you had your daughter in the cage, and I couldn't help but think, how is that little girl's life going to change based on what her mom did on Saturday night? What would you say?
Definitely it's going to change. She comes with me to all my practices. Her dad owns a jiu-jitsu gym, Stronghold Jiu-Jitsu, here in Chicago. And she's been around this game since she was literally born. And I've been taking her since she was literally like a baby. So she's used to this scene. But the most important thing is her self-belief in me was also monumental. She told me the night before, she said, "Mom, you're going to win and you're going to be the champion." And after I won, and I'm walking side by side going to the media tour, and she said, "Mom, I told you were going to be a champion." And then when we woke up the next morning, she said, well, she woke up, I didn't sleep, but she woke up and she said, "Mom, I want to be a winner like you when I grow up." And so just to have those types of moments, is just so near and dear to my heart. That's what you do it for. Honestly, it's just to hear those types of words. It's very special.
Was there anything pre-fight in Amanda that you looked at that seemed off to you? Like, in other words, did you have a sense by watching how she was reacting in the media? I know she was dismissive of you, but I mean, a lot of times fighters are that way with their opponents, but was there anything she did or said that kind of gave you a hint that maybe, this was going to be your night?
I think that she was definitely, she was mean at first, but then she was nice. Like, she shook my hand at the press conference. If you've seen in the past, like, she pushed Valentina. So, I mean, I made sure, normally I'm wearing up my heels and everything and trying to look all cute, but I saw that like she pushed Valentina. So I was like, oh, I better keep it, flat feet so that she doesn't push me, because I don't want to get off balance and heels. Right. So I was expecting her to, be meaner, but then she like brought her hand out to shake my hand, and she, wanted to touch hands in the beginning, and she like almost was like about to help me up off the floor after the first round. So I'm like, this is so weird. She's being, really nice. And so I think that that's great, though. That just goes to show what an amazing champion that she's been, and how respectful and classy that she is, and how she carries herself.
In light of what happened, maybe this means nothing, but I saw it and I think back on it. You lost your mouthpiece at one point, and the referee didn't jump in, and she points down to your mouthpiece, right? And I almost looking back on it, knowing what happened, she might have been broken at that point, right? You were hitting her with some shots, and it was like, instead of being like you referred to before, the tough guy and everything, now she's like, oh, here's your mouthpiece, let's wait. Do you take it that way?
Yeah, like I was like, I don't care if I don't have a mouthpiece in. So like I was like ready to keep going. And she was like, no, get your mouthpiece, you know. And so she was very respectful. And I think that, you know, a little bit of sense of relief has to be taken off of her shoulders. Maybe like a gigantic weight has just been taken off of her shoulders. She doesn't have to carry that belt anymore with all that pressure. You know, the machine has been, you know, building her for 7 years as this, you know, unbeatable phenom. And if you don't beat somebody in 10 seconds, then you look, you know, almost less than. So I think that that weight that has been lifted off of her shoulders is a really great feeling for her. And I definitely think that, you know, moving forward, we're going to be able to run it back and stuff like that. But I think the dust needs to settle a little bit, and we just need to just bask in this moment of, you know, me finally completing something that I've been looking forward to for many years.
I think you were asked this as a post-fight press conference, but I'll repeat it because a lot of people didn't have a chance to see it. The fact that everybody was calling it the biggest upset in UFC history, or comparing it to the biggest upset, you know, Matt Serra over GSP, you know, Holly over Ronda, et cetera, et cetera. You know, did that offend you? Because, you know, hey, you know, you're going, hey, I'm not a bum here. That's, you know, I mean, did it offend you hearing that?
No, I think that everyone thinks that I'm a bum and that everybody's been sleeping on me this entire time, but nobody took me serious when I was in the Ultimate Fighter house. No one ever took me serious. I've kind of been cast in this underdog light this entire time, but I am the champion. I don't have to wear that label. I don't want to put myself in a box because then it makes other people put me in a box. I want to be for everyone and let everyone know that, you know, there's no such thing as underdogs. And like I said in the beginning with her, she was not going to have me in her face right here thinking, oh, I'm just fighting some underdog and I'm going to get rid of him in 10 seconds. I guarantee that's not what's going to be going through her mind. There is no such thing as underdogs. Once that cage door closes, it's a fist fight in a steel cage. And if you have two women that are, you know, whatever their seed numbers are, 15-2, is 15's fighting 2, or 1 is fighting number 30. If you have two women that are willing to fight, you got to fight. And it's as simple as that.
I have covered fights for probably as long as you've been alive, longer than you've been alive. And you don't often see this, but, you know, I saw you dancing in the cage. And, you know, I remember when Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo, you know, he was pacing back and forth as he's waiting for Aldo to come on. And he and I happened to catch eyes, and he nodded and smiled and winked at me. And that told me, hey, he's relaxed and everything. And when I saw you dancing, I said, Julianna's relaxed. She's going to be on top of her game, right? You know, I didn't know what the outcome was going to be, but I knew that you were going to bring the best that you had that night. Describe your emotions when you're in there. You know, you were pacing a little bit, and I guess the broadcast crew said that they thought you were nervous, but you were also dancing and kind of seemed like you were engaged.
Yeah, I wasn't nervous. You know, I can honestly say, when you are in a situation where you're fighting in the UFC or maybe a local show, you know, as a fighter, especially with all the buildup and all the months and all the long time that it's been taking, all you want to do is get in there and do the dang thing. And so they take forever. And it's like you're literally just waiting for this moment to happen, and it's finally here. So it's just like, hurry up, everybody get in, shut up. Like, get out of the way. Let's somebody ring the bell. Let's go, you know? And so I was just more so moving, trying to kill time, because I'm just waiting for this whole process to get going and for them to get in and get out so that we can get the fight started. I was just more so trying to kill time and make sure that I could keep staying loose and ready to go for when they were actually going to call my name and stuff.
You made a very interesting comment at the post-fight. You said you would be interested in Valentina. She, of course, submitted you in 2017 in a bantamweight fight. She's now the flyweight champion. I guess that surprised me because you're a big girl, and making 125. I was a little bit surprised that, you know, you would say that, you know, that's something you thought you could do. I thought maybe you would have wanted to go the other way. But do you feel like, you know, that is something that you could be competitive, cutting that much more weight?
Yeah, I have fought there before in the past. I fought at 125 a few times in my career. So I know that I can make the weight. It's just I don't particularly want to make the weight because I feel like I'm a natural 135er. I think I probably misspoke too. There were so many emotions and so many high things going on in the moment that I'm just like, I'll fight everyone, you know? Right. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, right now my immediate plans are to rematch Amanda. But even before I can say that, I would just like to enjoy the moment and just bask in the moment and just enjoy being the winner and being the champion. You know, and moving forward, you know, if I would love to give Amanda the rematch, and then after that, we can talk about other rematches that I would love to avenge too. And Valentina and Jermaine are definitely in those talks for me, because those are fights that I was winning. Those are fights that I had them dead in the water, and then those are fights that I just gave them right to them. You know what I mean? And so those are very disappointing when you know that you can beat somebody and you had them in like the clutches, and then your prey got away. It's just the worst feeling in the world. And so that's definitely later on down the road. But for me right now, of course, is just to enjoy the moment right now.
It's an amazing story. A small little gym that you come from in Spokane. You and Mike Chiesa both. He's had an amazing career. You guys started about a week apart. For your coach, how happy were you for him? Rick Little, has been a guy that's been grinding in this thing. And, you think there's a lot of big name MMA coaches across the ring. There was a big name MMA coach, right, when you were fighting. And Rick maybe hasn't gotten the attention for being an elite coach until now that he deserved. So do you think this is kind of vindication for Rick as well as for you?
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. And nothing brings me more satisfaction to know that I could bring it home for my coaches and my coaching staff that have been putting in so much time into me. It means the world to me to bring this back to Spokane. To Rick, he literally was so elated, and we've been grinding and doing this for 13 years. So this is something that he always knew was possible. It was something that he was constantly telling me and beating me in the back of the brain and letting me know that I can do this. And if it wasn't for Rick teaching me how to fight, I wouldn't be in this scenario. If it wasn't Rick going down to Torrance, California and learning from Hoist Gracie and the Gracie family, there would be no Rick, there would be no Julianna, So this goes back directly from the direct lineage of the UFC and the Gracie start. And, I'm just so thankful to have a guy like Rick Little and to have a coach that actually cares and believes in me as an athlete and as a fighter. And that's invaluable. I really feel like I'm sitting on in a land of gold.
What I love is, you guys are still together from beginning to end. You won the title with the guy that you started with. And, in sports today, that when I was a kid growing up, it used to be that they could be like that. The baseball players would stay with their one team or whatever. That shows a lot of loyalty on your part. I assume there were ups and downs in the relationship like there isn't anything else. Was there ever a time where, you were thinking about splitting, or were you always 100% on that team?
It wasn't necessarily that I was thinking about splitting. It was that there was things happening outside of my life, aside from what was happening inside the octagon. And that's life. Life happens outside the octagon. There's more to life than just fighting inside the octagon. And those things showed up in my life. For example, when I got pregnant and had my baby, I had moved over to Chicago, and, it was great being in Spokane, but you can only be a big fish in a small pond for such a short amount of time. You have to evolve. You have to add to your game. I can't just sit there and listen to one person every single day for 4 hours every single day. Like, I need to branch out and I need to learn from other people. I need to go to the jiu-jitsu guys. I need to go to the boxing guys. I need to go to the MMA guys, and to bring it all together and make sure that I have all my bases covered. So I had my foundation. I had my rock solid foundation, and it was just adding and adding and adding from other places, so that way I could evolve and become a more complete fighter. And I think that that's where my other coaches stepped in. But at the end of the day, I've always represented Spokane. I've always represented the 509 and Sikh Jitsu. I'll never forget where I came from and where I got my start. And Rick Little is still my head coach, and we've been doing this for 13 years, and it's just honestly such a great feeling to bring it back to him and let everybody else know we are worthy, and to validate ourselves and solidify a spot in this sport.
I think the significance was shown by Michael Chiesa's reaction. I mean, he went nuts, and I think his reaction showed, the bond that you guys had, that team had, and what it meant to you guys. That was really amazing.
Yeah, Mike was really happy. He was definitely emotional. And, we knew one of us was going to become a world champion. We just didn't know who first, you know what I mean? And so for me, the win is amazing for me, of course, but it means just as much to Mike as well. And to be able to share this with my team. And it was just an emotional time for everyone.
Let's wrap with this, Julianna. When you become a champion, you're the hunted. You're the Super Bowl for everybody else who steps up now. So maybe it's a little different game, right? How do you keep your mental edge the way you had it? As the challenger, you were able to focus on Amanda for a number of years. You got her and you did the job. Now, as the champion, you're the one that everybody's targeting. How do you keep that same mind frame?
Come on, come on, like, come on with it, girl. Like, literally, I know that that's the type of position that I was going to be put in. I know that as the champion, you got a big bullseye on your target, on your back. And I knew that I was gunning for that bullseye versus Amanda. Now that bullseye is on me, and I welcome that. I embraced that. I am excited for that. And like I said, that was last week. This week, we need to talk about what we're going to do moving forward in order to, you know, defend this. I will defend with my life, and I am ready to do that. And moving forward, it's all about what's next, and not what I did back then, but what's going to come ahead in my future.
Can't wait to see, because that was an unbelievable fight, and I'm sure there's a lot more. Julianna Peña, the new UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion. Congratulations. Thank you so much for your time, champ.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.